Can you be powerful and still be soft? That's the topic that we're talking about today. So, welcome back to the Business of Becoming. I am your host, Steffany. And if this is your first time here, I help high achieving people who feel alone at the top find their peace, their purpose, and the next version of themselves. So, that question is very important to me. You know, can you be powerful and can you still be soft? Can you still be feminine? Not soft as in like, you blow with the wind, but soft in are you in your feminine era, your feminine energy? Because being in business for as long as I have been, softness was never looked as a strength. It was always looked at as a weakness. Softness was always looked as a weakness. And I think the time and the era that we're in right now as younger, professionals and kind of taking out all the boomers, we are starting to realize how important it is to actually have empathy, how important it is to connect with our people and clients, and how it affects everything really in our lives, from business to personal relationships, to even our relationships with our clients, to our relationships with our staff, and with ourself. And understanding that there's greatness, and there's something now, it's a new word apparently I learned, which is called soft power. And that's something we're going to talk about in a little bit, but I'm really excited to discuss with you guys the importance of understanding what softness looks like in different phases of our lives, even as parents. And today I want to start with this question, which is becoming softer, does that mean that you become smaller? Because that was a big fear of mine, that if I became softer and more, in tune, does that mean that I had to be smaller? Does that mean that I had to change the way that I operated? And that was a huge fear of mine because in business, we're so used to, especially as a woman, and I can even see that even more so for men too, but we're so used to not leaning into the empathetic side. We're so used to being the person that makes the decisions, that makes the hard decisions, that have the hard conversations, that makes the money, that, has to have everything checked, that walks into a boardroom or walks into a heavy meeting like absolutely nothing is falling apart behind them, when in fact, the sky is falling. And I've noticed that in doing so, we've kind of just, especially me, I would say from my experiences and people I've talked to, in doing so, we stopped caring so much about what we carry. And everyone around us stops even to ask you if you're okay. And we put up this facade that we're good, we got it, This is our job. This is our role. We are the leader. We are the boss. And we stopped to even think, are we okay? And people completely stop asking if you're okay. They even stop asking if you need help because they're like, no, she's got it. I can't tell you time and time again how many people in my life were like, no, she's good. She's got this. And in fact, I didn't. In fact, I wanted help. I just didn't know how to tap into that softness that I know I carried. I didn't know. I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to receive it. I didn't even know how to receive gifts, for crying out loud. And it was always me giving, because that's how I felt I can keep my influence and the power that I've, worked so hard to get. And even then, it was just me trying to take care of everybody. But in reality, who was taking care of me? What we're really going to talk about in depth today is, what happens when you take this identity of being the strong, powerful one, and you have no idea how to turn it off. Because that's where I found myself. I found myself being the hero and being everybody's answer, but not knowing how to take off that mask and that role. And thankfully, because of therapy and a lot of learning and, running up against the wall and doing things that I never want anyone who's listening to have to suffer through, I was able to really learn what touching and tapping into that softness looked like without losing the credibility and the identity that I know I have to lead and to care for people, and to still do that with still being able to be soft and empathetic. So today's question is, can I still be powerful and be soft at the same time? Can I still be a CEO and lead a team, lead a boardroom, but still be able to say, can you help me with this? Can I be a parent and do the PTAs and make the brownies and do their lunches, but still ask or still want someone to help and take care of me too? Today you're going to learn how you can spot that one trigger, I guess you can say, of never needing anybody, and understanding where you confuse that with strength, and really learn how to have a practical audit in your life so that whenever this I don't need anybody, I can do bad all by myself energy comes, you can understand, and this is both men and women, you can understand how to be open, how to be vulnerable with your needs, still be soft, but not lose your power, not lose your feminine energy or your masculine energy either. There is a difference between I can do this all by myself or I have to do this all by myself. One is capability and the other one is on armor. A lot of us, we don't know which one we're wearing. We don't know if we are just being capable or if we're just wearing this armor to try and put ourselves in a self-preservation mode. There's a difference between I can do this by myself or I have to do this by myself. One is a capability and the other one is an armor. And sometimes we don't know which one we're wearing anymore. And not knowing the difference between knowing if we are capable or we just have our armor is what's actually running our entire lives and putting us in situations where we're either in self-preservation or slowly dying out. We're going to go into part one, which is, when your strength becomes your armor. And let me be very clear. There are seasons in your life where you need to have strength, especially if you're a parent, especially if you're leading a business and, or leading people on a team. Like, you need to be the one to make decisions. You need to be the one to pay the bills. You need to be the one that, can get your kids to school on time, that can show up when you need to show up, whether it's for a client, for yourself, whoever it is. But being that strength and strong and powerful person, it comes at a cost if you cannot get out of that loop all the time. Then all you are is this strong, armored person. And that's all that people see you for is, oh, they've got it. And in reality, that's not your identity. That's just something that you've had to put up because you are in survival mode. You are trying to make it through, not just the week, but today. You're trying to make sure your kids have food on the table. You're trying to make sure that your team still sees you as a leader. And again, there are moments where that is absolutely needed. We do not need leaders that are whining and crying about everything. I understand. But I do understand that that isn't our identity. That's not the way that I view leadership anymore. Someone that's strong and powerful. Like, absolutely not. I did for a very long time. For a very long time, I saw that as the highest form of leadership. Someone that's strong, that's got it together, and I don't need to know anything about their personal life. And here's the kicker for me. Being strong and having to be strong are two very different things. You can be strong and not have to be strong every single second of the day. You don't have to be fighting in survival mode every single second of the day. And that took me years to understand. It took me years to kind of break away from being the tough, strong person who can get it done and stepping away from being praised for it. I think it really hit me about 2 years ago when people, were seeing my situation and they were saying, you're so good, you're so powerful, you're so strong, you got this, you can go through anything. And it gets to the point where you're just like, shut up. Like, I know I'm strong, but right now I want to cry. Right now I want to be just not feeling strong. I want to feel like someone can come and hold me and take care of me and love me. There's times where, yes, I'm a strong mom, but I'm also goofy. And I'm also, dancing around our kitchen and letting my kids play dress up with me. And there's also times where I have my daughter just, do an experiment in our kitchen and it's a mess. And we have Celine Dion playing in the background. Like, I'm not strong all the time. I don't want them to see me strong all the time because that's not my identity. I'm not always in survival mode because you get to a point in your life where you start thinking, did I just become powerful and am powerful, or did I just have this freaking armor that weighs so much on me on for so long that I have no idea who I am when I put it down? And that's a reality. And that was a reality for me, that I was a leader, a this or that. Like, I had so many accolades and I had so many titles and I had so many responsibilities that it got to the point where I was like, I don't know who the hell I am if I take all of this off. And ladies and gentlemen, that's why I started podcasts, because you don't want to be someone who is identified as a survivor and powerful only. You are much greater than that. I am much greater than the things that I can accomplish. I'm much greater than the praise that people can give you because of what you can do. And that's where I learned how softness was and how I was able to touch into that era, or that like energy, I guess you can say, that I didn't know was always there until recently. So we're going to jump into part 2, which is, what does softness actually mean? Softness does not mean weakness. Softness does not mean that you let people run all over you. Softness does not mean that you chip a nail and now you can really cry about it because you're in your soft girl era. No. Softness means that you're curious. Softness means that you're learning to really understand what patience means. Softness means that you can ask for help and understand that you do not know everything. That it doesn't matter that you own this company, but you can easily say, hey, you do this part better than me. Why don't you step up and try to help us solve this problem? That's what softness means. As a man, softness means being able to be honest and vulnerable and saying, hey, I'm not going to turn my hurt into anger right now, because instead of being honest and being soft, hearted and saying, hey, this hurt, I'm just going to be angry and put my wall up and just say, nah, I'm good. That's what softness looks like. And that's honestly harder than being hardened. That's much more difficult to, I think, practice than letting yourself be this powerful, strong individual. I think softness for men and women can easily look like being able to trust somebody again after being burned multiple times. Being able to be honest with what, you feel and communicate. That's real strength. That's the soft power that's going around like a, heat wave everywhere, because I think in the world that we live in, that has AI and has, all these different integrations everywhere, and there's not a lot of substance in what we watch and what we see, people need authenticity. And that's where this softness is becoming real, because it's allowing people to be themselves, communicate things that only humans can feel, only humans can connect and relate to. And I think that's freaking amazing, because it's cost so many people, including our parents and our great-grandparents and all of that, lineage, it's cost them years to try and break these cycles and these patterns in their lives, that men don't cry and you got to be strong, and that women need to do this and, they got to serve this way. And you know, it's cost us so many years to break all of these different patterns, or stay in relationships that aren't meant for us, or stay in places or in companies or businesses that, it's the safe thing, or go to school even. Like, you need an education. And you ask why, it's because you just need one. Like, no, it's this soft power of being able to understand, hey, this is not, the most, what is it? This is not the decision that will make everybody happy, but this is the smartest decision for me. The strongest leaders that I know are not the ones that have it all together, that have everything put together. The strongest leaders that I know are the ones that connect and communicate correctly, saying, hey, I think you can do this better. And I would like your advice. I would like you to, put in your 2 cents and actually mean it. That can do for your team so much more than a decade of you pretending that you know what you're doing or that you know the most. All of this leads me into part 3, which is softness in leadership and in business. And in leadership, I see it really clear. I see it as being able to communicate to your, partner, your staff or whatnot, and say, hey, I handled that one wrong. Being able to admit something like that. I know it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it builds trust. Not downgrading yourself and saying, I suck. No, not at all. But easily saying, I could have handled that one better, for sure. I didn't like the way that I sounded in that meeting. Things like that build trust. They build stability. They build, this kind of connection with your people who here are like, they're your community at this point. And you can have a softness about you, but that doesn't mean that you have soft standards. I mean, you still have your boundaries, you still have your expectations for somebody, but you can still understand that maybe they are going through something. Just today, I had, one of my employees say, hey, I think my mom, may have broken her toe right now. And I said, okay, first assess the situation, make sure she's good, and go take her to the hospital. I'll probably text you. You don't have to answer. I'll be texting you some questions so I don't forget. When you get back to it, let me know if you can answer that. You still have an expectation of things getting done, but you can still be empathetic and understand, hey, your family comes first right now. Go make sure that they're okay. It's very normal. You can still be a soft leader by saying, hey, I think you can handle this presentation. I think you could probably knock it out of the park. I think you could probably even do it better than me. That's not a bad thing. You don't have to be the best at everything. You just have to be the best at delegating things to the correct people, because that would bring you growth. If not, you're just bottlenecking your entire company. And this is all sales 101. This is all sales. Softness in sales has nothing to do with you lowering your standards, belittling yourself, saying we're the cheapest on the market. Absolutely not. Softness is in sales means you're not pitching to anybody. You're not saying, how can I close this deal? You're saying, what problem can I actually solve for this client? Am I actually a solution for them? Because if you believe that you are a solution for them, then you're already tapping into something of your softness. You're already tapping into something that is empathetic. Because now you're saying, hey, I need to help you. You need me, and I want to be needed by you, and I want to solve this for you. I can smell a salesperson from a mile away. And I'm sure a lot of us can. But like the greatest salespeople that I know, they always say, you don't sell something because you want to be a salesman or you want to make the money, because they're gonna smell it. You don't sell somebody even on your product most of the time. You sell them on a security. You sell them on a peace of mind. You sell them on trust, on saying, hey, I got this for you. I can handle this one problem for you. I'm your girl or I'm your guy for this one. You don't need anybody else. It's on me. I got this. That's how you can actually become the best salesman in the world. That's how I became incredible at what I do, because I realized the need people had, and I had a solution for them. And I know that in my field, especially in Florida, it's extremely competitive, and especially during hurricane season and all of that. Like, there's adjusters everywhere. But I don't need every file. I don't need every claim. I just want people who need me. And I want to be able to guarantee a peace of mind for them, that I will help them through this process, and that I would take care of it as if it was my own home. Because I get what it's like not having power, being in the middle of a storm, losing all the food in your fridge because there's no electricity, having to deal with a kid and a toddler and not knowing how you're going to get milk from. I've been there. So I want to solve that. And I think that's what you need to do is understand that there's such a softness in sales, and realize your product, realize what you do, and what solution are you trying to give these people rather than what you're trying to sell them. And honestly, the biggest thing for that in leadership and in business is, you know, how can you help that person when there's nothing in it for you? That's softness as well. That's you demonstrating softness as a leader in your business, is when you can help somebody, whether it's a client or it's your employee or it's a partner, whatever it is how your team can view you as being able to put yourself in a position where you have nothing to gain, but are willing to, bridge a gap for somebody and be there for them. I think for me, that is the best way to show softness in leadership, because you're still being powerful in doing something great and doing something noble, but you don't need to be the one that's benefiting the most out of it. And I think that's great. Part 4. This is, I think, probably one of the most important things, which is the emotional regulation part of all of this, on how to be, powerful and soft at the same time. Because you can't be soft in places where it's going to force you to be cruel sometimes, or it's going to be very toxic, environments. It's very difficult for you to stay soft and not on guard and boarded up all the time. Learning how to regulate yourself in those moments are vital, because, you can try to tap into your soft energy, but you could have had the hardest day at work and still try to be so cheery and so happy and all positive. And finally you get home and then you get that one email from a client that you're like, I have bent over backwards to make you happy, and you are still complaining or upset. Then you just want to rage. Then you just want to go off and say, I've done this, and then you get, angry, and that's not you tapping into your softness. That's you tapping into your power, of who you are. Who do you think, you're talking to, or who do you think you're disrespecting? You need to regulate that. You need to understand what is triggering you to feel this way. Pause for a second and choose whether or not that's the right time to respond. Because you're not going to solve anything, at 8, 9 o'clock at night with a client. So you don't even have to practice what you're going to say. You don't have to send anything out. And that is learning how to emotionally regulate yourself in business, in, a professional setting, or even in a relationship. Maybe, your partner said something that's hurtful, and I'm a Latina. And when I feel like any kind of threatened, it's like fire. It's normal for me. But I've learned that sometimes I can't choose to respond right away, because I'm responding emotionally. I'm responding with, maybe thinking of something that has nothing, or maybe reading it wrong, because you can't read someone's intention a lot of the times through a message. You can't read whether they were playful or they were serious, and then you're just going to throw yourself on a whim for nothing. So I think really this tool has been extremely helpful. As a parent, even more so, it's been helpful because we need to look stable, especially emotionally for our children. We need to demonstrate that for them, that we can have hard days, but we're not having a hard life. That doesn't exist for us right now because we will be positive, whether we have caviar for dinner or Easy Mac. We will be grateful, period. Emotional regulation in real life is just softness with boundaries. It's being able to be empathetic and feel for someone without carrying the weight of that emotion. Is being able to understand that, man, that must be so difficult what you're going through right now. Can I pray for you? Rather than, I understand it's so difficult. Oh my God, I need to help you. I need to be there. I need to do this. I need to do that for you. And carrying the responsibility that was never even asked of you. And that's where I fell all the time because I was way more than a nurturer and a caregiver. I wanted to rescue, and I think that's mainly an issue for high achievers and people who are independent. We want to be saviors for people, and we're not saving anyone if we can't save ourselves first. I don't want my kids to only see that mom can do everything. I want them to see that mom can rest, that she can have boundaries, that she can ask for help. Because there's a difference between them seeing, mom has to do everything, and there's a difference between mom doesn't have to do it alone. And I think that's beautiful. I have a daughter and a son, and I want to demonstrate to them the importance of knowing who they are outside of everything they can do. The next section, which is softness at home and in relationships, like it brings me to this because our kids watch probably the best and worst versions of you, and they watch who you are more than anybody, I think. They view everything that you do, that you say, how you react to things. And in relationships, I think for me, one of the most difficult things to say out loud was that I know I can do a lot. I mean, I am self-sufficient, I'm independent, great, but I also want to be taken care of. And I don't mean just financially, where I can sit back and just, fan myself and in a all-inclusive hotel in Cabo. I'm not saying that wouldn't be nice, but I'm saying taking care of even just emotionally, where I don't have to put this facade of being the strong one every single time, where I can be vulnerable with someone and say, gosh, today sucked. And I was emotional and, this hurt me the way this person said this or whatnot. Like, I want somebody to take care of my heart. I think that is the hardest thing to say out loud as someone who is a high achieving individual, because we're not used to being soft and just all butterflies and rainbows. We're used to being the strong one, making the decisions, being like definitive. And that's not healthy. That's not a life to live that's not weighted on you. And this was big for me because I had to learn that receiving something from somebody wasn't that I wasn't capable of it. I had to reframe my mind. I had to understand that I was worthy of being able to receive, someone to take care of me or someone to love me or someone to say, hey, no, I got this. Don't worry about it. Go rest. That's amazing. It doesn't erase your independence and it doesn't make you incapable. And I also really realized that maybe the goal was never to not need somebody, but to be able to invite someone into a space that I have protected for so long and choose them to be there and be secure enough in that relationship to allow them to contribute to my life. And that is huge for anyone who is a single mom or who is trying to, be in a relationship with somebody. You need to be choosy on who you want in your space that you have protected and have made safe. Who you want to contribute to your life. And that operative word is contribute. Because you have to receive. If you want to love somebody, because that is what I want to do, I want to love someone. What you want to be able to have someone give you what you can give them. And I think that's why it's so important to choose wisely and wholeheartedly someone to contribute into your life. So here's your takeaway. I want you to ask yourself a question, and that question is, where have I confused strength with never needing anybody? And that could be in anything. That could be in your marriage. That can be in your current relationship. That could be as a parent, as a business owner. Where have you confused strength with not needing anybody? And please just write it down. I've had to do the work, and it's changed so much in me. It's allowed me to see and know what I want when I look for, even employees, when I look for somebody to partner with, when I look for people to do business with. It's so validating to myself, because the next question that you're going to ask yourself after you answer, where have you confused strength for softness, is where can softness be entered here? Or what does softness look like for me in this area without it abandoning myself, without it, letting cross boundaries that I already have, without it having people, run all over me and use me or hurt me intentionally. And in business, it could look like you delegating something instead of you being the one to white knuckle it and do it and just be the boss and holding power. In life, it could maybe look like you letting somebody help you without you feeling like they have to earn it. Maybe somebody offering to help and they're not super close, but hey, just take it. Learn to receive love that people want to give you. So I want you to do it. I think it's important. I think it'll really change the way you look at yourself, and it will help you become the best version, because maybe it's something as simple as telling somebody what hurt you rather than just pretend that it doesn't bother you and you don't care about it. Maybe it's you going into a business call and a sales call, and instead of trying to impress, try to connect. Different things where you can stop being so powerful and demonstrate this strength of not needing anybody, but actually show this soft power that you can carry. So I encourage you, do it this week. Write it down. Don't forget. I think this episode is probably one of my favorite ones to talk about, especially in this era of my life, because I am in my soft girl era. So thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. And I also want to mention that in the next couple weeks, you guys might have some longer episodes, or you guys might have some shorter episodes, because I am so excited to say that we've officially made a year of doing the podcast. We've officially made 1 full year of me committing to you all every single week and producing something that has not only changed my life, but I know has changed many of the lives that have been commenting on our stuff and have been messaging us directly. So I'm extremely grateful. I have put it in my mind, and my producer, Frankie, has also put it in his mind, that we want to give you guys some more quick practical tools. So you'll probably see a couple shorts coming up and some kind of fire, like, what is that thing called? Like when you shoot, like fire questions?
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire questions and rapid fire answers that I think we all need. And I'm excited. I'm excited for these topics. I'm excited to give you guys something that is quick to the point, and also give you some extended episodes that you will need. You're also going to see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, because you're going to see a lot of my life, and hopefully you like it. So either way, thank you guys again for being on this journey with me. And I hope that we continue just to become the best versions of ourselves, because I don't want to be anybody else. So I'll see you guys in the chair next week. Bye.